I know this is like a month late, but hello and welcome to my tier list of every game that I played last year that came out last year. I played a lot of games last year. They didn't all come out last year, but this is the I'm ranking the games that did come out last year that I played last year. That's what It's a month late. Don't worry, there will be no spoilers for anything. I don't think there's going to be spoilers for anything. If I need to spoil anything, then I'll put a warning up and I'll give you a timestamp to skip to. But I don't think there's going to be any spoilers. But there will be gameplay on the screen of each of these games. If you don't want to see anything about any of these games, then I guess don't watch. But there will be gameplay. None of it. I'm gonna make sure there's no spoilers in any of the gameplay that I show. If you're worried about that, but if even just a little bit of gameplay is a spoiler to you, just there's gonna be gameplay. Now let's get into it. Just before we continue, before we start ranking, my worst game of the year, I'm not gonna show you guys that yet. That'll be way later on in the video that you'll see my worst game of the year, because I have a lot to talk about it and I want to save that for near the end. But we're gonna start with something a little bit controversial here. I got three games that are gonna go in E tier here, and they are all sequels that I felt that disappointed me. They disappointed me quite a bit. We'll start off with this one. Neo: The World Ends with You. In 2007, Square Enix released the video game The World Ends with You for the Nintendo DS. It gained a cult following, it was released on mobile phones, showed up in Kingdom Hearts, and finally, as of last year, it got a sequel. Now, I I had fun with the game. I think the gameplay is very fun, and I like the characters. There's moments in the game that I think are really well done. But my big problem is, at points, it feels like they couldn't decide if they wanted to make a direct sequel to the first game, or if they wanted to make a game that was just its own story with no connection to the previous one. And because of that, there's moments that where the game does connect to the first one. Those moments, it can feel a bit hollow, and it just feels like it's fan service. And fan service is fine, but it doesn't feel natural here, and thus I don't think it works. And because of that, I'm gonna have to put Neo: The World Is With You in D tier. Again, the gameplay I think was really good, and I like the characters, but the story just feels messy. Next up, the next sequel that disappointed me a little bit. This one, it didn't disappoint me as much, but I would say it's still probably on par. Is Persona 5 Scramble. Persona 5 Scramble is the follow-up to Persona 5. It was developed by Koei Tecmo, and it took like a full year to get translated and brought to the States. It was a fun wait. Anyway, I like the gameplay of this game enough. I think it's fun. And the game has incredibly cool moments, like the Okinawa jail, which felt like it was setting up a darker change in tone for the rest of the game. But then it turned out to just be for that one jail. So, as you can tell, my problem with this game lies in, I guess it's just a little bit more in the story than it is in the gameplay, but I also think that the gameplay isn't great. Like, they're both okay. It's got an okay story and an okay gameplay. But there's things in the story that annoy me, and things in the gameplay that annoy me. And I think this overall could have been a way better game. I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed with it, but it's not bad. It's just it could have been better. Neo Tui had a disappointing story and really fun gameplay, while P5S had a just alright story with okay gameplay. But you'll see this story versus gameplay scale tip a little bit more in the side of story in just a moment. Well, here's the one that fails in the gameplay. Danganronpa S. I love Danganronpa. I played the first one back in 2016. Right there. Look at that. See? I got them all on the Switch too. I got a Monokuma Funko Pop. Look at that guy. I've also got this figure of Chiaki Nanami. Okay, so I'm a large fan of the series. Let's start with the good of Danganronpa S. The character interactions are the main draw of the game. Seeing all your favorite characters interact with each other is pretty cool. But where this game really messes up is the game is just not fun. Everything feels like chores. I want to see all the character interactions, but to get more characters, I need more mono coins, which isn't that bad. But what is bad is the rate at which you get mono coins is abysmal. I can go through an entire run of the game, which takes maybe an hour. No more than an hour, I would say. No more than an hour. And after a run, I just might not get any mono coins. It gets to a point where you're gonna have to do like 5 runs before you get any more coins, and all the runs are gonna be fairly similar. There's only one real map of the game. You know, there's different sections, but you're gonna start in the same place and you're gonna go through every place in the same order. There's not much distinction between each run. It's just do the same things and hopefully you'll get farther. I haven't touched the game in like a month because I don't want to go into another run. They're so boring. Cool. But there's good things about this game. The character interactions, like I've said a million times, fantastic. They're great. The character selection for the game, it's so big. It's literally it's almost every character from Danganronpa 1 through V3, including Ultra Despair Girls. There's some characters from Ultra Despair Girls that are missing here, but I mean they got the main ones like Komaru, Toko, all the Warriors of Hope. But then they also put Hiroko Hagakure in there, which is strange. Very, very strange inclusion. It's strange, especially considering Haiji is just not in the game, which I understand how a lot of people feel about Haiji, but I do think he is an incredibly well-written character, and I would love to see him interact with some of these characters. Like, dude, an interaction between Haiji and Korekio would be hilarious. I need it. I want to see it. Give it to me, please. I'm a little bit disappointed at how this game turned out. Not necessarily because the game's not fun, but more because I think I'm worried that this might deter Spike Chunsoft from making more spin-offs, because I would love to see more Danganronpa spin-offs, like a fighting game. I bring Ultra Despair Girls to the Switch, please. It's such a good game, and not enough people have played it. Hopefully more Danganronpa spin-offs come out in the future, and hopefully they're planned out better than this one. But in short, Danganronpa S is just way too grindy for it to be worth it. So yeah, this is our E tier. These are the big downers of of the year. I don't want to say Persona 5S as a downer, but like it does fit like right in between both of these. Um, so I'm keeping it here. Yeah, all your tier is just disappointing sequels, which is gonna be very contrasted by a tier in later on in this list. So there you go. Moving on to D tier. D tier, I believe, has 4 entries. And I just want to clarify: D tier does not mean that these games are bad. E tier is the only one where I'm like, these games might be bad. The bottom tier is going to be bad. It's just bad. It says the worst right there. It says it's going to be bad. But D tier upwards is just, I just these are where the games are going to rank on the tier list. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean I think that these games are like D tier games among all games in general. Just that's just where to put them in the list. Sorry. So let's start off with this one. 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I love 3D World. I think it's like maybe the best 3D Mario game of all time. The inclusion of online, very cool. It does lag a bit, but it's awesome. It's great that it's there. Why does it rank here? I'm gonna be honest, I just needed to put it somewhere because it came out this year and I played it this year. And I don't know. It's just a re-release with extra content. So I'm just kind of ranking it based on Bowser's Fury, and I didn't like Bowser's Fury all that much. I thought it was cool at first, and then it just got annoying. It's like every 5 minutes Bowser does his thing, and I have to go Super Saiyan and beat him up, and then go to another island. And I don't know. I didn't beat it. I honestly did. There's 2 games in this tier list in this tier, or just in this tier list in general, I guess, also that I just did not beat, which are kind of, maybe if I'd beaten Bowser's Fury, it would have ranked higher, but I just didn't find it all that fun. Just the base game, just the base game is way more fun than Bowser's Fury is. Next game is boom. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was super exciting when it was announced. Like it was kind of a big deal. It was a new Smash like a new platform fighter with a bunch of characters that we know by a developer that knows what they're doing. It's not just a cheap cash grab. They got people who know what to do. So it was very promising. The game, as it's turned out, is not bad. It's not a bad video game at all. But it definitely it misses the mark. The sound effects are grating. I think a lot of the attacks aren't telegraphed enough. But despite this, it's still good. It's fine. It passes. And I think what's really exciting is they're listening to the fans. The developers, Ludosity, are listening, and they heavily hinted at voice acting coming. We just got Garfield and Shredder. Shredder just came out as I'm recording this, and there's more DLC coming. We know there's more DLC, and it's exciting. I can't wait to see what else comes from this. But I can at least say this game's fun. It could be better. It needs some more polish, and we know that polish is coming. But right now, it's fun. Next up in this tier, in D tier still, is, where is it? Ah, yes. Wario. So why does WarioWare land in D tier? I love WarioWare. WarioWare's fun. And every game has its gimmick. But I think the gimmick of Get It Together, it really holds the game back. The whole selling point is you can now play as all your favorite characters, but because of that, the micro games have to be centralized to a point where every character can beat a microgame. This causes a lack of variation in the microgames. They're typically platformers of some sort. There's some that are different, obviously, but I wish the microgames were a lot more varied and there were cooler things going on. One other thing is, again, with the whole thing about there's all these characters. Half of the characters in the game feel like kind of just feel like another character, but harder or easier. And I understand that because some people are gonna go for characters that are harder for like a hard mode that they want to set for themselves. But it makes the roster look bigger than it really is when there's a good handful that just play like other characters. But on the bright side, Pyoro is in the game. Look at Pyoro. Look at him. And last game in D tier. We could change the tier to double T tier for this one. It's HuniePop 2. I am actually a decent fan of the HuniePop series. I've been waiting for HuniePop 2 for a while. It's been long awaited, and it finally came out last year. For those of you that don't know what HuniePop is, it's a puzzle game. It's one of those match 4 puzzle games. But the gameplay is this nice in between of Bejeweled and Puzzle and Dragons, where Bejeweled, you can just take one single jewel and move it to the left or right, up or down. In Puzzle and Dragon, you can take a piece and move it anywhere you want on the board, and it kind of just creates a chain reaction as you're moving everything. But what HuniePop does is it's in between. You can take any piece on the board and just move it anywhere you want in the column or within that row, and just the entire row or column will move like a conveyor belt. So your goal here is to try to have some chain reactions going on as you're moving a piece to make a combo. Look at where everything else is moving and see if you're gonna put pieces in a really good position for your next move. And it's very fun. I love it. So, well, if I love the gameplay, why did HuniePop 2 rank in D tier? So a very small reason is that I could rate a double D tier, and that's like the funniest thing you've probably ever seen in your life. It's hilarious. I understand. And if you don't get it, it might be a little too highbrow for you. But the other reason is just every single other game in this tier list is more fun. They're very fun. This is the only this and Mario 3D World are the only two games, I guess Bowser's Fury are the only two games in this tier list that I didn't actually finish. I got to the final boss of HuniePop 2, but I was playing on hard mode, and it was just so ridiculously hard. I could not do it. It was impossible. Also, the gameplay of HuniePop 2, there's definitely merit to preferring the first one over the second one. The second one it's not just the first one, but more. There's new mechanics in there that kind of change up how the game is played. So there's reason to play either. HuniePop 2 does not defunk the first one. And for those of you that haven't played it, put away the idea that HuniePop is the boob game. It's the boob game. They're really fun, and you should go check them out. On to C tier. First game up in C tier. C tier just means it was generally fun. So I believe there's only 2 games that go here. First one, Mario Party Superstars. Yeah, it's pretty good. There's not much else to say about it. It's Mario Party. So, Next up, a game you may not have heard about because not enough people are talking about it. Dead Estate. Dead Estate is a brand new roguelike that takes inspiration from the likes of Nuclear Throne and The Binding of Isaac. You probably haven't seen it, but you may have seen this character right here in some YouTube thumbnails. She's gonna be in this one. There's no way I'm gonna pass it up. She's gonna be in the thumbnail. I guess technically this is another game I haven't finished on the list. I guarantee you, I finished every other game, but like I've beaten this with every character that I have unlocked so far, but I have not beaten the true ending on anyone yet. I really like the chibi sprites of the characters that just don't have arms. It's very cute. I like that a lot. Yeah, there's not much I want to say that I can say about it, other than it's fun and you should go check it out. If you like The Binding of Isaac, Nuclear Throne, Enter the Gungeon, I think you'll like this. C tier, it's just they're genuinely fun. And not much to say about them. Just go check them out. Well, I mean, don't go check out Mario Party. You've already checked out Mario Party. Go check out Dead Estate. It's on Steam. I think there's like a demo on Newgrounds or something. You go check it out. B tier. Ooh, B tier. This one has 3 entries. It's one that flunked these 3. I really enjoyed it. We're not gonna say anything else. On to the next one. The next one, I'm gonna put. I played this game earlier in the year. I've been I'm in a group chat with some friends, and I've been updating this list all year. As I played games. This was a game that I just realized that I had never put on that list ever, and I'm putting it here in the tier maker now. I can't believe I forgot to play this game because it's going decently high up, and here it is. Portal Reloaded. Portal Reloaded is a fan-made Portal sequel. It's Portal, but there's a third portal. There's a green rectangular portal that it's time travel. You could set a blue and orange portal in the past, and then you can go to the future and set a blue and orange portal there, and have things merge between different realities. It's really cool. It's so cool. You should go play. It's hard to explain, but it's very fun. It's also, it's short, but the puzzles are very well made. I loved it. I enjoyed every moment of it. It was great. It was fun. Go check out Portal. It's free. That's a big note. It's free. It's on Steam. Go check it out. Okay, this is the last thing that's going in B tier. I've been playing this a lot, like a lot. I've been playing a lot on my phone, on Steam. I've been playing it a lot. That game is Super Auto Pets. Dude, I love this game. I love Super Auto Pets so much. It's so good. I don't know what to say. It's an auto chess game. So you have animals, and you wanna buy animals. There's random elements. You're not guaranteed to get specific animals. So you want to take the animals you have, make the best with what you have, make a good team. You want to organize your team in such a way that the animal in front's ability is going to affect everyone behind him, and then the animal behind that affects everyone behind him, and it keeps going in a line. And it's very fun. You guys should check it out. Again, just like Portal Reloaded, Super Auto Pets is free. It's on your phone. I can't lift it's plugged in. I can't lift it to the camera. But it's on your phone. It's on Steam. It's on browser. You can go play Super Auto Pets anywhere. Go do it. And it also has cross progression. You make an account, and you can link it up. You can play the game on your phone or on your computer, and you'll have all the same stats, and you'll have the same hats. You'll have the same DLC. You go play it. It's on everything. A tier. Which one are we gonna put in first? This is where up here A through the top, you need to play these games. You need to. They're so good. I love all of them. So we'll start here. World's End Club. World's End Club is a new game from Kotaro Uchikoshi, the developer of the Zero Escape series and The Somnium Files. It was teased and announced as Uchikoshi's attempt at a killing game, like Danganronpa. Except that would turn out to be a lie, and that was not what the game was at all. And when this came out, I was very disappointed. I expected to not like this game. I was gonna get it anyway, just because, you know, I like this guy's games. It'll probably be fine, but it was disappointing that to hear that it wouldn't be a killing game. But boy, were my expectations wrong. I love this game so much. The game is very cozy. I really like that. The character designs are nice. They're by the guy that did the character designs for Pokemon. I think for Gens 7 and 8. The music is really good. There's so many crazy twists and turns in this game, and I can't say much about this game because I don't want to spoil anything here, because it's really good and you should go play it. But it's very cozy. It's a nice feel good game, and it's fun. You should go check it out. I really enjoy it. If you like anything by Uchikoshi, you'll probably like this. And then the only other game we have in A tier is the game that held off this video. This video is coming. It's in January. This is January right now. The only reason this didn't come out in December, this video, was because I was stuck playing this game from last year that everyone kept talking about, and I needed to finish it. So here we go. The other game in A tier. Inscryption. There you go. Inscryption. I can't say anything about this game because of spoilers. The gameplay that I'll be showing on screen is not spoilers. So don't worry, no spoilers are about to be said here. Inscryption is the latest game from Daniel Mullins, the creator of Pony Island and The Hex. Prior to playing this, I had only seen Pony Island. I knew nothing about The Hex. I had heard of it, but I'd never actually seen anything about it. And I can't say much about this game because most things that I could say would be spoilers. So I gotta keep everything here very simple and not say too much. But it is an incredibly well done game. The gameplay it's a card game. If you've played Slay the Spire, it's a little bit similar to that in its execution. The game is super atmospheric. Everything has this pixelated filter over it, despite everything being 3D, and it looks really cool. The gameplay and the story both ramp up the more you play this game, and it's really something that you can only experience for yourself. I can't say anything about it. That's all I'm gonna say here. Please go check it out. Daniel Mullins is a genius. And now we move on to S tier. S tier. These are. I'm not gonna say that S tier upwards are my games of the year. I would say that A tier upwards are my games of the year. I think World's End Club and Inscryption deserve to be up there. But I'm in here. So, I said this earlier. E tier was a bunch of sequels that disappointed me, or follow-ups that disappointed me, and I feel like they could have been way better. S tier, okay, so S tier is all sequels that blew me away. They were all great. And we'll start with Metroid Dread. When Metroid Dread was announced, it was kind of a big deal. There hadn't been a new 2D Metroid game in almost 2 decades, and I hadn't played any of them. So, while waiting for this game to come out, I played every single 2D Metroid game back to back. And what I can say is, Metroid Dread is the best 2D Metroid game, without a doubt. The environments look so good in HD on the Switch's screen. The references to the past Metroid games in Dread feel very fulfilling. It definitely feels like it was an adventure to get to this point. And as with any good Metroid game, the speed running in this game feels very nice. The sequence breaks are super fun to execute. And one thing that I can say about this game that I don't know if I can say about half of the other 2D Metroid games, the finale is incredibly satisfying. This is the best finale that they've ever done in a Metroid game. And I'm excited to see where the story goes from here. It's just so insanely cool. I love this game. The only slightly negative thing that I even have to say is I think the Emmy are very cool, but they feel a little gimmicky. You just kind of you go find the Emmy area in each zone. You find the big blaster, you shoot them, and then you get the ability. They're involved. They have less involvement in the game than I had thought they would have. And I've been working on this video for a few weeks now, and so as I'm recording this segment of the video, Nintendo yesterday or 2 days ago at a Nintendo Direct, they announced that they're gonna add a super hard mode to this game. I believe is out right now actually. That's super cool. I'll probably check it out and I'll beat it. I love this game. It's so fun. And they're also adding a rookie mode. And what's I think the most exciting thing here is that they said in April there's going to be a boss rush mode. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be so cool. Oh my god. I can't. This game's great. I love this game. Go play it. But like you could play it, but if you want to get the most out of it, you gotta, at the very least, watch a summary of the events of the previous 2D Metroids. Next up in the S tier, this one does mean a lot to me. Here it is. The Binding of Isaac Repentance. I have been playing The Binding of Isaac since Rebirth first dropped in 2014. And I would go on and play it on 3DS and Switch, on my PC too. But I kept playing it on and off, dropping it for years at a time, and I finally came back to it with the Repentance DLC. This DLC adds a whole set of new floors that are not only challenging, but prettier than any of the other floors in the game. They look so cool, and the music in this DLC is better than any of the music that was in the base game or any of the other DLCs. There's more bosses in the game, some really cool bosses, like my favorite boss in the game right now, which is the Horny Boys. There's way more items, so many more, and these are big game-changing items too, like the red key, the R key, the glass key. There's a lot of keys. There's so many keys. Look at all these keys. And the biggest addition by far is the character count in this game has gone up more than double what it was prior to this DLC. There were 15 earlier, before there were 15 characters in this game prior to Repentance, and now there's 34. There's the normal 17 characters now, and a second set of 17 that are new takes on these already existing characters. And they change up the gameplay drastically. This game also adds a true final boss to the game, a definitive ending. And the final ending of this game feels very satisfying. It's finally a closed book, there's nothing else to tell, and it really hits hard. I am fully satisfied with The Binding of Isaac at this point. I'm okay not getting anything else for the next 5 or so years until Edmund McMillen makes The Binding of Isaac 2, which he has said he has ideas for and may come in the future. And with this, I think Isaac may be the best roguelike ever made. Obviously, that's just my opinion. There's definitely going to be people who think, Spelunky is better, or Enter the Gungeon. But Isaac is a masterpiece. And last thing that goes in S tier, Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is the long-awaited follow-up to the cult classic 3D platformer. And not only does it live up to the hype, but it is better than its predecessor in literally every way. This game keeps the unique art style of the original, while also updating the graphics to Unreal Engine 4. So this game looks beautiful. This game fixed some annoyances from the first game, like there's now an extra ability slot that you can equip. There were only, I think, 3 in the first game, and now there's 4. The story feels way more connected, and it feels like it scales at a better pace than the first games does. And the twists and turns are way bigger than the first games. The music is fantastic. The worlds are gorgeous. And I think this game, along with Metroid Dread, define what makes a video game, or more, a sequel, worth the wait. And that is, a sequel will be worth the wait. If it was a long wait, it'll be worth that wait. As long as the technological advancements that have taken place between then and now affect what the game is able to accomplish. Seeing Metroid Dread in nice, full 3D, HD, it looks fantastic. And this game, with all the time that has passed, is able to do things that they could have only dreamed of back then. My only gripe with this game is the final boss of the game, again, just like the first one, feels a bit anticlimactic. It doesn't feel like a big, epic boss fight that challenges you to use everything you've learned. It just kind of is a boss fight that happens. But otherwise, it is an incredible experience from start to finish. And it was even almost my game of the year. Something that I could not have foreseen prevented this game from being my game of the year. Okay, before we move on to the best, we're gonna talk about my worst game of the year. It's time, guys. It's time. Here it is. I think this is the worst game of the year by far. And I don't like saying that games are objectively bad. I don't like saying that. The only scenario in which I could say that something is objectively bad is if it's poorly programmed, poorly made, poorly structured. In that case, it is just, in terms of as a video game, it's bad. They did a bad job making it. So here it is, guys. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach is my worst game of the year. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach is from the developers of the Five Nights at Freddy's VR game. It was going to be the first, a quote-unquote, full-size Five Nights at Freddy's experience. So, what went wrong? This game is a buggy mess. Sometimes I would walk into a room and the floor and wall textures just weren't loaded. Sometimes the floor and walls just weren't generated at all, and I would fall through the floor and get stuck in an object and have to go back to my last save. I have never had less fun playing a game in my life. Well, what about the story? That's gotta be something, you know? Nope, the story feels incredibly hollow. The game begins very abruptly, just kind of throwing you into everything, and it ends abruptly, not feeling like any conclusion has been reached. There's not even much in the way of plot twists in this game, aside from the super secret endings, which are incredibly hard to get. That's awful game design there. The game's big bad is Vanny, a new murderer taking after the legendary William Afton from the previous games. But she barely ever shows up, let alone having any significance at all in the story. This game was just a huge disappointment. There are a couple really cool moments in this game, but they almost immediately get bogged down by baffling gameplay decisions. Almost every segment of this game is just a maze. You need to get a Faz camera? Well, go into Monty Golf and explore until you find it. Oh, you need to fix a staff bot. Go into the cluttered arcade and find the 3 power switches scattered on the walls amongst all these arcade machines. And you have to do all these mazes without getting caught, because it's a Five Nights at Freddy's game. And if you get caught, you have to restart. But this mechanic in this setting is mind-boggling. I can't think of a way that you would fix this, the death mechanic, to make it any more tolerable, but it does not work. I don't know how you could possibly make it work, but it does not work. With how often deaths and jump scares happen in this game, because the animatronics are always walking around, the sense of dread that is present in the other games is just gone. This game isn't satisfying in any way. Beating the game doesn't fill me with a sense of finality. Everything is just left open, and for people that don't keep up with the series, that may seem like the norm for these games, but it's not. Every FNAF game answers a ton of questions while adding more into the mix. I'm always excited to see where the story goes, but this game just adds more questions without answering even a single one. And there's still a DLC planned for this game, so hopefully the DLC can fix these problems. But I really don't think it will. I think the DLC is just going to be brand new stuff that may have been cut before release. All of these left open questions are probably just going to be answered in the next game. I hope Steel Wool can fix this mess of a story at some point. But as of right now, this is just bad. Really, really bad. Finally, we're at the top. Here it is. My game of the year, but first, I want to just show... before we go to the best game of the year, I have a best gaming moment of the year that I want to put up here, because I would rank this game up here if I could rank just the DLC, but the DLC I can't just rank it separately, you know, it's the whole game. But I do want to put it up here as, you know, I think the best moment in gaming for the year, and that is Sora in Smash. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the greatest feat in gaming. In no other game can you see Mario, Pac-Man, Sephiroth, and Minecraft Steve all fighting against each other. What started out as a small crossover between Nintendo characters has become a celebration of video games as a whole. One of the greatest things about Smash is that it introduces people to video games that they may have never heard of otherwise. Just look at Xenoblade Chronicles. It was a niche little RPG that took a while to get translated, and now it's one of Nintendo's big franchises, with Xenoblade 3 just being announced the other day. And for some characters that didn't get to be full fighters in Smash, there's the Mii costumes, some of which literally just look like the actual character, like Cuphead or Sans from Undertale. The fact that I can say Undertale is in Smash is crazy. It even has a remix of Megalovania, arranged by Toby Fox himself. And now, Smash is over for the time being. Fighter Pass 2 has concluded with Sora, the most requested fighter. I know this reaction is on the channel, and I'll place the reaction here. I still just cannot believe that Sora is in this game. It's no longer just a wish, it's real. Sakurai was able to do something that most people thought was impossible. I think one of the craziest things about Sora in Smash is that in a Famitsu article, Sakurai said that Fighter Pass 2 had already been decided, and Sora was kind of a last-minute addition. He just happened to run into a Disney executive and got to talking about Sora. And the trailer ends with Sora and Mario shaking hands, which is just such a powerful image. It represents Super Smash Bros. And what it has become. Ultimate is truly something magical, and I'm of course sad to see that the DLC is over, but there's no better way that it could have ended. And for this, the conclusion to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is my best moment in gaming for 2021. And here we are. What is my game of the year? I was pretty certain on what my game of the year was going to be when Psychonauts 2 came out. I played it and I was like, okay, this is my game of the year. This is my game of the year. And I said that for a few months. And then on September 15th, a little live stream happened and threw everything out of whack. Here it is. My game of the year. During a live stream on September 15th, it was announced that Deltarune Chapter 2 would be dropping in just a couple days, rather than dropping when the full game was done. And I couldn't believe it. I played Undertale back when it first came out in 2015. I'm a huge fan of it, and I played Deltarune back when that first dropped in 2018. So yeah, I was pretty ecstatic. Deltarune Chapter 2 is better than the first in every possible way. And I guess I'll start with the gameplay. What makes Undertale and Deltarune so fun is that the battles are puzzles. You have to try and figure out what sequence of choices will allow you to spare the enemy, while also dodging the bullet hell sequence that occurs between turns. Not to mention how the bullet hell sequences are altered depending on what enemies are in a battle together. Chapter 2 now gives Susie and Ralsei the ability to act on enemies, allowing for more strategy as to how you want to play your turn. In Chapter 1, it was typically just having Chris act, Susie defend, and Ralsei heal or pacify. But this is also really interesting thematically. Giving them the ability to act seems as if they're now closer to Chris. Susie isn't just the attacker anymore, and Ralsei is following in Chris's footsteps. Also, in terms of gameplay, this chapter introduces the weird mechanic of spared enemies coming to your town, and there's also the party dojo, which has challenge battles, and you can also craft items now. There's a lot introduced here, and I can't wait to see each of these new things be expanded more in the future chapters. The music of Chapter 2, just as expected, is amazing. The soundtrack even had help from Lena Raine, who you might know from the Celeste soundtrack. And I think the music is some of Toby Fox's best work, namely A Cyber's World ? Attack of the Killer Queen? The Dark Truth. There's honestly just too many to name here. But I'm not gonna forget Big Shot. Something I wasn't expecting from the rest of Deltarune was the fact that we're gonna be visiting multiple Dark Worlds throughout the story. I just kind of assumed that the Dark World would just be the one in the school, and it would expand in size every chapter, but I think the structure that's being set up here actually works really well. It allows the character designs in each chapter to be their own distinct thing, rather than all chapters needing to share a visual identity. And, well, I guess now we should talk about the story of Chapter 2. This chapter develops the game's story in big ways. Noelle and Berdly have gotten a lot of depth, and I can't wait to see what all the other classmates do in future chapters. The antagonist of Chapter 2, Queen, is way better than the King. She's not as menacing as him, but appears more often and gives us such a good sense of her character throughout the short journey that when we enter her boss fight, it feels way more climactic than the boss fight of the previous chapter. Queen is honestly one of my favorite characters in the entire game. She always steals the spotlight when she's on screen. But what I love about Chapter 2's story is its themes. From Queen trying to make Noelle into one of her peons, to Spamton G. Spamton being a literal puppet that is manipulated by a man in the shadows, there's a theme of puppetry going on here. And this all leads into the subtle cues throughout this chapter that Chris is just a puppet for you, the player. All these choices that Chris makes throughout this game aren't there of their own volition. We're making them do these things. And I don't think this whole Chris being a puppet thing ends there even. Because at the end of the chapter, Chris rips us, the player, out of his body, the soul. And we know that this is us because we can control it at the end of Chapter 1 in that cage. So without us, Chris then goes and makes a dark fountain. So what I think is going on here is not only is Chris a puppet for us, the player, Chris is a puppet for the knight, or whoever's making the dark fountains. Not once have we gotten to see what Chris actually wants to do, or how they feel. And I'm super excited to see how this goes and expands in the future. I also want to mention how Spamton's arc in this chapter directly mirrors that of Mettaton from Undertale. And to top it all off, he even dons the Mettaton Neo armor during his fight. And his theme plays Theme of Neo during it. I think this is just insanely cool, and I can't wait to see what other parallels and references we get in the coming chapters. And I know this section is going on a bit long, but the nail in the coffin, the final thing that decided this game as my game of the year, was the discovery of the Weirdroot. The Weirdroot turns this entire game on its head, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how that develops. Toby Fox has said that this game will only have one ending, so the existence of this alternate path that changes the events that occur in this chapter is crazy. And I don't think Toby Fox is lying about there being only one ending. I think the ending will be the same, no matter what route you do, but the context behind the events that occur are going to change. Which, if that's the case, I think Deltarune might only have a bad ending. I don't exactly know how you could give us a good ending with new context through this quote-unquote evil route. Deltarune Chapter 2, despite being the second installment of an unfinished story, is able to feel like its own full experience. An experience that gives you so much, but holds just enough back to keep you enticed for the future.
The rest of Deltarune is by far my most anticipated game of all time, and I wouldn't be surprised if, when the story is finished, Deltarune becomes my all-time favorite game.
So yeah, that's my tier list of games from 2021 that I played. Hope you enjoyed. Um, I'll see you in the next upload, maybe, unless the next upload is not by me, in which case you won't see me. But I'll see you in the next upload that I upload. See ya.